Emergency. Somewhere in the world, there's a persistent and vigilant threat of annihilation facing the cultural memory of a land that has endured for millennia. This is not due to armed conflict ravaging an area or negligence plaguing a local community. The wiping out of crucial archaeological sites in southeast Turkey, at the northern margin of the fertile crescent. The lofty cradle of civilization is a disaster of calculated human making for which no one other than local authorities may be held responsible for. Although the boogeyman of the Turkish Ministry of Culture has been involved in a number of escapades that have contributed to the extinction of the cultural heritage of Anatolia, largely due to dam construction without regard for the consequences of such projects of environmental restructuring, we'll be focusing on one example of a region obliterated through human engineering through examination of 4 principal sites. Be sure to take notes because we'll be having a quiz on this material next period. The ILISU region is traced by a section of the river Tigris that runs roughly between the modern settlements of Batman and Siirt. In spite of its relatively small size and the unwillingness of local authorities to recognize the wealth of archaeological data present in the area, the ILISU region actually contains an innumerable amount of historical settlements spanning many periods and civilizations that could provide invaluable insight into the historical, political, cultural, and demographic development of a significant number of populations and states. This is a big deal, and we'd like everyone to acknowledge these facts going into this. The discussion of the ILISU Dam project and its consequences for the ILISU region will be discussed through an overview of the site of Hasankeyf, punctuated with additional information pertaining to specific periods provided by other regional sites of Giricano, Siirt-Başur Höyük, and Çattepe Höyük. The site of Hasankeyf was the most prominent victim of the ILISU Dam project, as it boasts of a history of over 12,000 years that saw the settlement integrated into a series of cultures and states. The earliest of these is the pre-pottery Neolithic culture of southeast Anatolia, some of the earliest periods of human settlements and agriculture, which is in point of fact a particularly outstanding entity in archaeological scholarship. Characterized by such prominent sites as Göbeklitepe and Navalı Çori, which was incidentally also mercilessly flooded, the pre-pottery Neolithic of southeast Anatolia is a period of immense importance in understanding the development of the first agricultural communities in the Fertile Crescent. Hasankeyf was indeed contemporaneous with Göbeklitepe and shared many of the cultural trends observed there. Lightning round, moving on. The next phase we'll encounter on this little dive through the waters of the ILISU Dam is the pottery Neolithic in the region. For this, the site of Siirt-Başur Höyük may serve as a sufficient example to display the cultural trajectory of southeast Anatolia during the Neolithic. Başur Höyük is important in several regards. It is a clear demonstration of southern Mesopotamian influence in the north of the Fertile Crescent through interaction with the Ubaid and Uruk cultures situated well to the south. It displays regional trends in local urbanization parallel with developments into the 2 aforementioned cultures, and it provides some evidence for some form of administrative organization in the region. The site extends into the Bronze Age, yet we'll turn to another site to supply us with details regarding that. This next step in our journey through antediluvian Turkey takes us to the Bronze Age settlement of Giricano. Although fragmentary traces of items displaying Ubaid and Halaf cultural affinities have been encountered, the major period of settlement of this site dates to the Chalcolithic and Bronze Age. Starting in 4500 BC onwards, the site of Giricano served as something of a crossroads between Anatolian and Mesopotamian influences in the transitional period of the Chalcolithic and Bronze Age. The site parallels Başur Höyük in its affinities to Mesopotamia in the late Neolithic, early Chalcolithic, and perhaps more significantly, displays the cultural and political affiliations of the region in the Bronze Age. Giricano was, during the Middle Bronze Age, a town in the empire of the Mitanni, which means it was likely a Hurrian settlement, and later, when Assyria did away with the novelty of the post-Mitanni puppet state of Hanigalbat, the town was certainly under Assyrian control and cultural domination. From the remarkable discovery of 15 tablets at the site, the name of Giricano in the Bronze and Iron Ages under Assyrian dominion is known to have been Dunna Shah Uzibi. Additionally, a series of structural complexes that dominate in the Bronze and Iron Ages, as well as the aforementioned tablets, substantiate the model of this site as a small farming town administered by a local landowner. For such a minor site, the picture painted by archaeological and textual evidence that would have been lost if not for the emergency excavations of the site are quite fascinating. For the occupation of the region in antiquity, we may look at the example of Çattepe Höyük of the late Roman period. Çattepe Höyük was home to a fortress that constituted part of the Roman defense network against Parthian and Sasanian invasions from the east, with the majority of occupation dating to a time frame between the reigns of Emperors Lucius Verus and Constantius II. The site and the surrounding regions were subject to a series of futile border conflicts that seemed to have led nowhere really. The site was occupied into the Islamic period when the settlement, then named as Tel Fafan or Til, was an important harbor town where Tigridian maritime activity was pioneered. One must not refrain from adding that this experience with nautical technology will no doubt come in handy with the flooding of the site. Finally, for the history of the region in the Islamic period, we return to the immensely important site of Hasankeyf. Hasankeyf preserves extensive architecture from Artukid, Ayyubid, Akkoyunlu, and Seljuk rule, while emphasizing the harmonious integration of Turkish and Persian cultures in the rich finds it provides. An Artukid bridge at the site provides unusual examples of pictorial representations of unknown individuals, and a number of unique Seljuk mosques have endured for hundreds of years, still relatively intact. In spite of the clear importance of the settlements mentioned here, constituting only a few of the archaeological sites that are threatened by the Ilısu Dam project, these sites are nevertheless doomed. We hope that this discussion of the history of this deceptively significant region will raise some sort of awareness of the issue that many archaeologists are hopelessly toiling over. Ilısu is only one example of a major problem that is threatening to wipe out the cultural heritage of the entirety of Southeast Anatolia. Sites such as Navalu Çori, Zugma, Tepecik, and Samsat are mostly or completely flooded. It's quite difficult to explain the weight of an archaeological site having been sunk and rendered inaccessible with complete foresight, but the fact of the matter is that these are all extremely valuable pieces of cultural and historical heritage that will no longer yield any new findings or be viewed to be appreciated by anyone. Hasankeyf has joined them. There's no need for a joke here. This whole situation is a joke. Nevertheless, one may remark that tourists and enthusiasts of history may reconcile themselves with the promise of pretty coastal sunset when they visit whatever remains of these sites.